Hi everyone, it's Aunt Fernita. Today's story is called Heavy Enough to Float. The memory verse is from Matthew chapter 7, verse 7. It says, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find." Today's message is God cares all about my problems. Pedro needed a calculator to do part of his math homework, but he did not own one. Jose let him borrow his calculator until tomorrow. When Pedro arrived home from school, he opened his backpack. He took out his math book and looked for Jose's calculator. It was gone. He called his friends, but no one knew where it was. Oh man, what a problem! What was he going to tell Jose? A young man in our Bible story today lost something that he borrowed, and he was very worried too. One day, some young men who studied at a special school for the prophets heard good news. The prophet Elisha was coming to visit them. They were happy about that. They could tell Elisha anything, and he would listen. The young men knew that the building where they stayed was too small, and they wanted to build another place. They talked it over with Elisha. He agreed, and they decided to build a bigger building. So they set aside a special day to go to the banks of the Jordan River. There they would cut logs for the new school. Elisha agreed to go with them. One young man had borrowed an axe. He wanted to help build the new school building. Happily, he joined the group working at the river that day. Some chopped down trees, others cut the trees into boards. The prophet Elisha worked right along with them. As they worked, they talked about God's love and care. Then, with one swing of the axe, whoosh, everything changed. The young man with the borrowed axe lifted it into the air. The iron axe head flew off. With a splash, it landed in the river. "Oh, master!" the student cried out. "The axe was borrowed, and I have no money to pay for it." His friends came running. They all stared into the dark water. Elisha hurried to the riverbank too, but he couldn't see the lost axe head either. "Where in the water did it go?" Elisha asked. All the young man could do was point. Elisha turned and looked around at the trees. Finding just the right tree, he cut off a small branch. Then he carried it to the river's edge. He threw the stick into the water where the young man had pointed. The stick made a little splash. Then, ever so slowly, the stick and the axe head came to the surface. They floated together in the water. A gasp went up from all the students. The biggest gasp of all came from the young man who had lost the axe head. Just moments before, he had thought that his life was ruined. God, through Elisha, had turned the young man's accident into a miracle. He had taken an ordinary workday and turned it into a day to remember forever. The tired but excited young men walked back to the school that evening. They talked with Elisha about what had happened. They were even more sure that God loved them and cared for them. They knew that no problem was too big or too small to take to God.
This podcast is read by Fernita Buddy for Gracelink.net. Created and produced by Falvo Fowler. Post-produced by Faith Toe at Studio El Piso. The theme music is by Clayton Kinney. Animation and artwork by Giogo Godoy. The audio engineer was Karel Holness. For more information, please visit Gracelink.net.